that way is safe?
Yep.
Okay, I'll do that. No problem. Sure.
Okay, shall we start? Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Parthaya pratibodhitam bhagavata Narayanena swayam vyasena gratitam puranamuna madhye mahabharatam advaitamritavarshinim bhagavatim ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvamanusandathami Bhagavat Gita Bhavatveshini Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sangha Padakramopanishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavastita tatkatena manasa Pashyanti yam yoginaha Yasyantam na vidussura suragana Devaya tasmai namaha Devaya tasmai namaha. So we're going to do a cluster of verses of the 6th chapter. So let us at least chant these 4 verses, number 20, 21, 22 and 23. So this is the cluster that we'll be studying. So let us at least chant that. So starting with chapter 6, verse number 20. Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya yatra chaivatmanatmanam pashyannatmani tushyati Sukham atyantikam yattat buddhigrahyam atindriyam vetti yatra na chaivayam stitaschalati tattvataha Yam labdhva cha param labham manyante nadhikam tataha yasmin sthito na dukkhena gurunapi vichalyate tam vidyat dukkha samyoga Viyogam yoga samyitam, Viyogam yoga samyitam, Sanishchayena yoktavyaha, Sanishchayena yoktavyaha, Yogo nirvinna chetasa, Yogo nirvinna chetasa. Okay, good. So, as you know, we have been dealing with the 6th chapter, which is the chapter called Dhyana Yoga, and this is the section where the Gita gives us a thorough introduction to Nididhyasanam, meditation, the value of it, the nature of it, and so on. And so what we have seen so far in the beginning of the 6th chapter is an understanding of what the nature of Nididhyasanam is. So in the crux of it should be seen that Nididhyasanam, which is we may call Vedantic meditation, that may be the English translation of it, Vedantic meditation. Because I think meditation now has become, especially in the last few years, it's become very fashionable. Everybody wants to do it, which is good. I'm not, it's not criticizing thing. But in the process of doing it, what happens is that meditation is seen to be calming of the mind. And Vedantic meditation is much more than that. The calming of the mind is just a start. In fact, where the rest of the meditations end, that's where the Vedantic meditation starts. And so we have seen this in the sense that in the non-Vedantic meditations, if you can term it that way, thoughtlessness is the primary objective. And a lot of the Buddhists' meditation, for example, especially we should look at it, the Buddhist meditation is this vipassana. Vipassana has become a very important thing and so on. So all of that should be seen as culminating in a thoughtless state of the mind, which is, and hopefully the thoughtless state is a calm state. And that is where it ends. And the Vedantic meditation, first of all, takes two issues with it. One is that it's not the end. It is in fact the start. And the second issue with that is that if the thoughtless meditation by an aspirant is seen to be the end, then it should see that it is just a transitory experience where you have thoughtlessness and then you come out of it. So it is not freedom in our sense. In fact, it is said that you don't, by the yogis that achieve thoughtlessness after a number of years of practice and so on, Ishvara gives it to you every night in deep sleep, where you have a thoughtless state anyway. So at best you can do is to achieve a sort of like a sleepy state where nothing bothers you. And we think that this is not the end. The real thing is what is called Sahaja Samadhi. So Sahaja Samadhi means a samadhi where you are in meditation the whole day, and not just when you are sitting down at one point. The sitting down at one point to meditate is a start. This is how you have to do it. But that is just a start. And as the Drikdrishya Viveka also says, Yatra yatra manoyati tatra tatra samadhaya. And so means that wherever your mind goes, you are in samadhi. That is the real samadhi. And this is what Vedantic meditation, Nididhyasanam, is all about. So it is very different from a normal understanding of meditation. So this we have already covered pretty much up to this point. So, so to culminate that part, one thing should be seen is there's a couple of ways of looking at it. So this is what one way to look at that is, what is the end result and what is the means of reaching that result. So the end result is sadhya, and the means are called sadhana. And once it is achieved, then sadhya becomes siddha. These are different words in Sanskritam. So this is one thing, which is the final goal and the means of reaching that goal. This is one way to look at it. Another way of looking at it, which is exactly the same thing, just in different words, is what is called the main stem and the parts of limbs of the stem. So this is what is called Anga and Angi. So Angi means, like for example, if you look at the human being, then the main body of the human being is the Angi that has the Angas. Angas means the various limbs. So you have hands, and you have legs, and you have eyes, and so on. But the main stem, which is the human body, is called the Angi. So that's another way of looking at it, Anga, Angi, or Sadhya, Sadhana. These are the two ways. So the reason I'm saying that is because the meditation, all the steps of the meditation, which is yama, niyama, and all the other 8 Ashtanga yogas, are the angas. And also the sadhana. You can look at it both ways. Then what is the angi and what is the sadhya? Nirvikalpaka samadhi is the sadhya. And it is the angi, the nirvikalpa samadhi. So as a reminder of what we have been studying for the last few weeks, the nirvikalpa samadhi or nirvikalpaka samadhi, either one, nirvikalpa samadhi, is not considered in Vedanta to be thoughtless state. You know, recently there was a student in this class who asked a question. He said, you know, and he comes from a different sampradaya, different way of, he's not a Vedantin yet, although he's trying to be. But he was saying, shouldn't we simply say that the Atma is the Sakshi? Atma is the Sakshi. Because he's been told that the way you should do meditation is you never forget about the fact that I am the Sakshi. I am the Sakshi. Sakshi means that I am the witness. Everything that I am witnessing is the Drishya. So this is the Drik. You're always the Sakshi. And what I responded to him then was what I'm saying now. Simply repeating yourself that I'm the Sakshi, even though it is true, is not enough. You cannot, it doesn't work. I'm the Sakshi, and so on and so forth. Why? Because the full import of what the Sakshi means is not available in simply repeating I am the Sakshi. So what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that the Vedantic teaching which says that the Sakshi, which is true, Atma is the Sakshi. When you say, what do you mean by Atma is the Sakshi? It's very simple to see. This is the truth about it. I know is the Sakshi. So see how your whole life is enveloped in I know. What you don't know also you know. You don't know some strange language, you know. You know English, you know. You know the sounds, you know. So the I know envelops your entire experiences. You should see this. This is the one thing that never leaves you. I know. I know. And this I know is not something which is a property of yours, it is your nature. I know. I am awake. I was asleep. I was dreaming. I was there. I am here. I know. I know. This is the Sakshi. Right? And so the question could be, why not this understanding be enough? And the reason we are saying this understanding is not enough is because you have not fully appreciated the full implication that you are the Sakshi. What do you mean by you have not understood the full implication? This has to come from the teaching. The Sakshi is never born. This is only one extension of the full implication. But you are not thinking of the fact that I am never born. When you are saying I know, you're only looking at one aspect of it. I'm the Sakshi. Fine, that part is okay. We don't have any issues with that because that is true. But do you know that you were never born? You always have been. Oh, no, I didn't know that. Well, this is what we have to understand. Do you know that you are the very source of Ananda? The Sakshi is the very source of Ananda. Oh, how? Exactly. We need to understand that. I need to know that the Sakshi can never be, this is going to happen in verse number 23. Tam vidyat dukkha samyoga viyogam yoga samgitam na nischayena yoktavyaha yogo nirvinna chetasa. Do you know that any kind of a problem will never touch the Sakshi? Oh, no, I didn't know that. Exactly. So the full implication of what the Sakshi is has to be taught, has to be appreciated. This is the meaning in Vedantic meditation of the word nirvikalpa. It is not just purely thoughtlessness, it is a full appreciation of the very importance of the Atma. And Sakshitvam is only one aspect of it. But this is and I think we have been talking about this for a while. So we've done that. Now, let's go to a grouping of verses, number 20 to 23. Which sketches out Nirvikalpa Samadhi, which is both, as I mentioned, Angi. It is the main stem from where all the Angas are coming from, and also be called Sadhya, where all the sadhanas, the Ashtanga Yoga sadhanas were given. This is the main thing. So let us now understand what is the nature of this main thing is. So, in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna has given some further hints about understanding and achieving Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Number 20 to 23. So here, Swami Paramarthananda has done a marvelous job of articulating the main ideas behind understanding Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So he says, Swami Paramarthananda has pointed this out. It is already embedded in there, but sometimes it takes a thoughtful, knowledgeable person to articulate it. He says that there are 7 definitions. 7 definitions, different aspects of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Those are given, embedded in verses number 20 to 23. So let's go over them now. It might take us more than one class, but make a list of it. 2 of them are given in verse number 20. So verse number 20, as we just chanted, was Yatra Uparamate Chittam. So the word Yatra is an important one. Yatra means when or where. Wherein. See what is, wherein. In which state, when will you recognize that this is Nirvikalpa Samadhi? Remember, this is not just purely thoughtlessness, but a certain aspect of it. That aspect is given in the verse number 20. The number 1 is Yatra Uparamate Chittam. This is number 1. Uparamate Chittam. Uparamate Chittam means one where the mind is tranquil. So this is one of the, how will I know, excuse me a second. How will I know that I am in Nirvikalpa Samadhi? When my mind is tranquil. Tranquil meaning it is undisturbed. Like, for example, the example given is a lake where there are no waves, there is no wind to create waves, just by itself. So the tranquility of the mind, which you all have experienced from time to time, so it's not as though it is unachievable or unachieved, but through the various means, yama, niyama, asana, and pratyahara, and all of those Ashtanga yogas, one of the things to do, which is just a start, is the tranquility of the mind. And how is the tranquility of the mind achieved? Number 1, not from artificial means. Like, for example, not by drugs. It's interesting that Swami Maheshanji had given this. He said that there are two popular kinds of drugs to dull the mind. One is alcohol, very well known, various forms of alcohol, either hard liquor or through wine or whatever. This is one thing. And the other one is marijuana. And in India, for various reasons, marijuana is much more accepted than alcohol as tranquilizing the mind, which is not also not good, should not do it. But many of these sadhus that have a problem with their lives and so on, they tranquilize their mind. They use a tranquilizer. Out of these two, they say that marijuana is better. Why? Because marijuana, I haven't tasted marijuana, so I can't, this is just what they say. I mean, I've tasted wine, but not to a point where I do it socially, I can have a little bit of wine, but never to a point that it affects my mind. But they say that marijuana is better. Why? Because in alcohol, you become not only tranquilized, you become overactive also. And you can do some strange things, and you can be wild and so on. Whereas in marijuana, you really just lay low. You don't do stupid things. Swami Chinmayananda had given this example. I think I may have told you this, but it's appropriate here. So what happens is, when you're in college in India, that during holy times there is some kind of a function. I also went to college. Somehow I never went through this, especially in the villages and so on. So you're given this bhang. So bhang means it's a liquid marijuana. And all the kids, when they are off on holidays from away from home or something, they do this bhang. And somehow I never really, in our college, we never did this. So there was this one guy from the village, Swami Chinmayananda was relating this, who took bhang. And he was a nice village boy. He couldn't tell what was happening to his mind. And so he just got crazy. And so his friends all say, no, it's okay, it'll be all right. He says, no, I want to go home. I want to go home. So they said, no, it'll be all right. He said, no, I want to go home. So they got worried. They called his parents and said, we're sorry, we've all had this bhang, which is a normal thing to do at this time. But your son is acting very crazy. He wants to go home, so please come and get him. So his mother and father both came and got him. And all this time he kept saying, I want to go home. Because his reality was disturbed. He didn't know where he was. And so they took him home. They put him on his own bed. And he kept muttering, I want to go home. I want to go home. So his parents said, listen, you are home. You are home. You'll be okay. He said, no, I want to go home. And so they all smiled at him, and he says, the effect will be soon gone, and he will realize he really is home. And so he will not mutter like this. And then Swami Chinmayananda used to finalize this story by saying, Hari Om, Hari Om. So he means Hari Home. He used to say that, I remember that. Anyway, the point is that having a tranquil mind should be natural, not induced by drugs. Now, how do I get a natural mind? So there, Lord Krishna says niruddham yoga sevaya. So how to get a tranquil mind? The best thing is through yoga sevaya. So now all the Ashtanga yogas have to be done. And so if you do that, we already gone through this. Remember, we did Bahiranga sadhana and Antaranga sadhana. We went through this. So you do niruddham. Niruddham means to restrain the momentum. That's the word I was looking for. Restrain the momentum of the mind by specifically going through the steps one at a time. Both the Antaranga sadhana and Bahiranga sadhana. And what was the difference between Bahiranga sadhana and Nirunga, if you remember? The Bahiranga sadhana is your nature of living a good life. Avoiding conflicts, avoiding untruthfulness, avoiding road rages, and so on. Just creating a general pleasantness about your life is the Bahiranga sadhana. The Antaranga sadhana is done specifically to enhance the Bahiranga sadhana at the time of meditation. Naming no other thoughts of anything else, no thoughts about what do I have to do today, did I close the oven door, all those kinds of things you should just not have. Other than that, Bahiranga sadhana, you can say that, what is it that I need to do, did I close the light, that's fine. But in the Antaranga sadhana, you should further enclose yourself, as it were, into something which develops a tranquil mind. So this is the meaning of the first line of verse number 20. Yatra uparamate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya. Yoga sevaya means by purposely going through all the steps. That is the seva. By following the steps of the yoga system. And so that's very useful in that sense. So therefore, now we can summarize the first of the signs of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, which is what? Chittam Uparamanam. A tranquil mind. This is number one. Then we go on. Why do we go on? Because silencing the mind is not the final aim, as we mentioned before. That is just the first one. Then what is the next one? The next one is Atmanam Pashyan, which is the second line of this verse number 20. Atmanam Pashyan. Atmanam Pashyan, how? Atmana. So here, please make a note of this. The word Atma can be used as it normally is used for the awareful being that I am, is the Atma. It is also used for my mind, which is closest to me. Is not me, but it is very much like me. It is very much like looking at your image in a mirror. So the image in your mirror is not you, but it is very much like you. It is not you because you are independent, whereas the image is dependent. It is, if you move your hand, then the image will also move the hand. If you move the hand this way, then the image will move the hand this way. The image cannot move the hand independent of you. So the similar thing is that it is the mind which follows you, but it is not you. It looks like you. So why do I say this? Is because when you say Atmanam Pashyan, means you see the Atma. By how? Atmana. So Atmana refers to what here? The mind. So Atmana means the mind, and the Atmanam means the self. So what it means is, see the self with a quiet mind. Here Swami Paramarthananda gives a beautiful example. He said, supposing there's a lot of noise going on and so on and so forth. So it's not as though you are not listening to some sound. Like say, for example, the sound of this air conditioner that is running. You're not aware of it because I'm talking and so on. Now let's be quiet for a second. The same sound which you are not aware of, you are now aware of by silencing the other sounds, no talking. You can hear the clock tick and the air conditioner or the heater, the heater running. So the example is that Atma gets into a state of not noticeabling, not being able to be noticed, because you are so busy. You're so busy. There's a lot of talking and so on and so forth. But if you silence your mind, then the same Atma which was not noticed before becomes noticeable. So, the second definition of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, remember the first one is what? Chittam Uparamanam. The second one is Atmanaha Pashyan, seeing the Atma. Here there is an attempt to see the Atma. How? Atmana. What do you mean by Atmana? By having a calm mind. So Atmana Pashyan. So this very famous shloka by Adi Shankara, Shivoham, Shivoham. So remember, this is Namo Mano Buddhi Ahankara Chittani Naham Nacha Shotra Jihve Nacha Grana Netre. I'm reading this. Nacha Vyoma Bhumihi Nat Tejo Na Vayuhu Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. And so, a calm mind will now allow you to see that I am not my thoughts. Why not? Because I cannot be something that comes and goes. Mano Buddhi Ahankara. Ahankara means the I thought. Even the I thought is not there. Because the I thought is a thought. Again, it is very specific. Here, it is something more than that. Shivoham, Shivoham means one which is Shivaha, which is Ananda Swarupaha, which is never changing. Sakshi Rupam. All of that will come later on. Na Vyoma Bhumi, na Tejo, na Vayu. I don't have any connection with the outside world. Just like you don't have any connection in deep sleep, similarly in Samadhi, you can have no connection whatsoever. I am just be myself. So this is seeing the Atma, the pure Atma with a calm mind is the second definition of Nirvikalpaka Samadhi. And so here you are not focusing on your relationships. I'm a mother, I'm a father. No. You have the ability to be someone without any relationships, without any friendships or anything, just by yourself. So just observing your own nature. So this is very different from, see now the difference is, it is very different from just having a thoughtless mind. A thoughtless state where there is no mind. It's different. You can see this. Why is it different? Because a thoughtless mind does not say, see that you are not anything else. It doesn't say anything, just say thoughtless. That means that your own nature is hidden by non-enquiry, non-understanding. You're still there. This is why a thoughtless person is still a Jivatma. When he comes out of thoughtlessness, you go back to the Jivatma. Just like happens to us in the morning. That doesn't really solve anything. You have to, while you are relatively thoughtless, not completely thoughtless, with a calm mind, you have to see that you have the ability to be different than the mind. This is what you have to see. So this is what is called Atmanaha Pashyan. So the second one is Yatra, in which state Cha Eva Atmana Atmanam Pashyan Atmani Tushyati. You see yourself as an independent person, just happy with yourself. You cannot do this without some prior preparation. Because, see now, supposing you, this often happens to us, when you are put on hold in a telephone. This happened to me yesterday. I was trying to pay my some insurance because it was due. There was a message to me saying that it is going to be due pretty soon, so please call and pay your insurance. So I got on the phone, and because I tried to do it online and I couldn't find the right policy which was coming due. So I called them up, and so then the person, after you go through all this, who are you and what's your date of birth and all of that, they said, okay, please hold and I will be right back with you. But right back turned out to be 2 or 3 minutes, or somehow she couldn't get the right one. So now you are quiet. Now what happens is that when you are quiet, you are really not quiet. You are trying to be quiet. But in the meantime, your thoughts come in. What is she doing? How come she's not come back yet? And then you, in the meantime, other thoughts come in. What else do I have to do? I'm wasting my time. Why did I not pay the bill ahead of time? All these thoughts come in. You're not quiet. And this is why, as you know very well, that now in all these areas, these are discovered by America. No one else figures this out. Everybody else copies it. They have music for you. They have music playing for you. They also know you are getting bored by yourself. You are incapable of being quiet. So we might as well play some music for you. This is not quietness. So the state of quietness is where you are in control of your quietness. And that comes with all the Ashtanga yogas. If you do that, you may disturb, supposing there is a phone call that you're coming in when you are doing Vedantic meditation, no problems. No problem. You can say, who's calling? You can even look up, open the eyes and say, oh, this is a robocall. Then you say, okay, don't have to take it. Go right back to meditation. No problems. Because your focus is on the Atma without relationships. So this one is the second definition of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So the second definition means trying to see, either completely seeing or trying to see yourself in the midst of a calm mind. And Atmani Tushyati means that you are happy with, you are not impatient. You're not saying, why isn't she coming back? You're impatient. Here you're not impatient. You're happy with yourself. This requires a lot of practice. But the end result is, it is possible. This is what we have to see. So this is the second one. See if Swamiji had anything else. Yep, pretty much. I think I covered all of this. So just to reiterate, so the Nididhyasanam, the Vedanta, so-called Vedantic meditation, be clear about this, is not bringing in new knowledge. We don't consider Nididhyasanam to be pramanam. Why not? Because the knowledge comes in the classroom, in teaching, called Shravanam. Nididhyasanam simply recollects the knowledge from the Shravanam. It only brings it up again. So why don't I, if it is only recollected, why don't I get it the first time? Well, you got it. Hopefully you got it. We're not sure, but you got it. Perhaps you got it. But it was in a setting where there was a lot going on. Very much like listening to the heater. When there is a lot going on, you do not hear the heater. You know this is a heater. You've already known that this is the sound of a heater. But you are not cognizant of it until you eliminate all the other disturbances. Now you hear the clock tick. So the clock ticking and the hearing of the heater is not a new knowledge. See, this has to be understood. Understanding Nididhyasanam is an important thing. Not a new knowledge about the Atma. That is all done in the classroom. But what it does is, the knowledge in the classroom which was not effective for you, not beneficial for you, becomes beneficial when you isolate it from the other things. And not only that, but there the teacher was talking and you were simply listening. Here you yourself will be talking in through your mind. Oh my goodness, yes. I am the nature of being never born. And you meditate on it. But you have to follow the teaching. If you don't say the teaching at all, then it is simply a mindless state. So see the definition of Nididhyasanam. Very beautiful. It has to be really appreciated, all these aspects of it. Okay, so that's number 20. Now let's go on to the next one. In number 21, we go to the third definition of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And that's called Atyantikam Sukham. Sukham Atyantikam Yattat Buddhigrahyam Atindriyam Veti Yatra Nacha Eva Ayam Sthitas Chalati Tattvataha. So let us now extract, with the help of Swami Paramarthananda, the third definition of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, which is Atyantikam Sukham. So here means limitless Ananda as contrasted from the Ananda of experiential sense organs, sense experiences, sense pleasures. Because we are all familiar with Ananda means a sense of well-being, sense of happiness, whatever you may call it, through the various sense experiences. And the best one out of them is food. All else fails if you have a good meal. Good meal means sufficient meal. You feel tripti, you feel ananda. But the tripti of eating food, or so many others, listening to music, and so on, is all limited by time. There was a Swami, this is a real fact, there was a Swami who, in India, who wanted to do an experiment. And because he had heard that these Vishaya Sukham means the Sukham generated by some event in your life. He was familiar with all that. What he set out to understand is, how long does the satisfaction of events stay with you? He just wanted to do, so he had a clock. He had a clock. And he did it on himself, and he also talked to a number of other people. And so he would start a clock as soon as you are, you've had ice cream, let's say. You're not a very happy being, and so on and so forth. You got worried and so on. Then he says, okay, what's your favorite ice cream? He says, well, I like pistachio. So he says, okay, have this pistachio ice cream. 2 scoops of pistachio ice cream. And then he says, are you feeling good? He says, yes. Clock starts. So his stopwatch now starts. And then he asks people, are you still happy? He says, yes. Because while you're eating ice cream, you're very happy. That's fine. Even after the ice cream is over, you're still happy for a while. So he will keep on asking. I don't know how he did it. I'm just making it up. Are you still happy? He says. After that, from the actions of the person, you will see that the happiness is not engulfing him. Or he can tell it himself. Why? Because you will start doing some emailing. You're now doing something. So the happiness is now over. You're not focused on the ice cream anymore. Anyway, his result was that on an average, the sukham due to Vishaya Sukham was 15 minutes. He published this. He did a lot of, there was some curve or something, but on an average, he says, you are happy for 15 minutes. And what happens is that we try to have as many 15 minutes happinesses as possible during the day. But we can't. How much ice cream are you going to eat? Because every time you eat it, it has a reverse effect. Now you add some weight and you have all other problems. Anyway, Atyantika Sukham means not this kind of a Sukham. It is your own Sukham, your own Ananda, without any limits. In other words, nothing will stop it for you except your own mind. And that also you can tame it slowly. So, why? Because the very nature of the Atma is Ananda. So really all that ice cream does is to invoke your own Ananda. It doesn't have Ananda by itself. You cannot go to Safeway and say, give me half a pound of Ananda. People will laugh at you and say, can you give me half a pound of joy? There's no aisle which says joy. No. Locus of joy is always you. And the locus of non-joy is also you. And then you have to see that the locus of non-joy is not really you. It is something close to you, which is your own mind. And that's when, in the verse number 23, Lord Krishna will say this very important verse. We will study it, hopefully, in the next class. Tam vidya dukkha samyoga viyogam yoga samgita. This is one of the most quoted verses in all of Bhagavad Gita. That really you will see that the Ananda is your own Swarupa. And if it is your own Swarupa, how can there be a limit on it? So the limits that you have are something that you put on yourself. And when those limits are removed, you find that it is Atyantika Sukham. So in that sense, verses like this become both what is to be achieved and what is achieved. Sadhya and Siddha. What is Siddha is to be achieved. At this moment, I don't achieve it, but slowly I find that really my own Sukham is not limited by some outside kind of things. It is limited by my own ability to not appreciate myself. So this is what would be called Atyantika Sukham. So Atyantika Sukham means the non-limited Sukham is the third definition of Nirvikalpaka Samadhi. And you know, this is exactly what I was saying earlier, that simply saying that I'm the Sakshi, I'm the Sakshi, I'm the Sakshi is not enough. So when you fulfill the definitions of all these 7 things that are talked about in the Bhagavad Gita, and even if you don't fulfill them all, but at least you try to, that is Nirvikalpa Samadhi. It's not just saying I'm Sakshi, I'm Sakshi, I'm Sakshi. And so the third one is Atyantika Sukham. Here, the Atyantika Sukham is further defined by the second part of the line which says Buddhigrahyam Atindriyam. Beautiful. Let's look at that. Atyantikam, Sukham Atyantikam Yat Tat Buddhigrahyam Atindriyam. So Atindriyam means not generated or controlled by your sense organs, not instigated by ice cream, which is possible. Bhagavan has made sugar and ice cream and all these beautiful things to eat as a give you a small sample of your own sukham. It's an amazing thing. Even though, and I said you cannot find joy in the aisles of Safeway, but you can find ice cream. And an ice cream or chocolate or something, these sugary things, when you're feeling down, it's a good thing to have once in a while, so that at least you get some sukham. But that sukham is Indriya Janya Sukham. Whereas Atyantika Sukham is Buddhigrahya. It means more you understand what is the true source of your sukham, the more you discriminate and understand that, my goodness, any sukham that I have is me. The ice cream was just a method of invoking it already that I have. And you stretch it, and you accept it, you recognize it as yourself. This is what would be called Buddhigrahyam. Buddhigrahyam means one which is based on understanding, not on temporary satisfaction through the sense organs. So this is the third definition of Nirvikalpaka Samadhi. Buddhigrahyam Atindriyam Atyantika Sukham. Then we go to the fourth definition of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. First one was Chittam Uparavanam. Second one was Atmanaha Pashyan. Third one is Atyantika Sukham. The fourth one is given in the second line of verse number 21, which says, Yatra ayam sthitaha na tattvataha chalati. yatra ayam sthitaha na tattvataha chalati. So remaining in which one does not slip away from your own true nature. Okay, so let's look into what does that mean. So an example is a good one that Swami Paramarthananda gave. So it means that supposing there is a child that is learning to ride a bike, two-wheel. So in the beginning it's very interesting. The children are given three-wheel bikes. And the three-wheel bikes are not that difficult to learn. There also the child has to be said, there also is not automatic. You have to put one foot like this because the wheels are circular. And to make the connection between the circular movement and the one-way direction movement is not easy. You'd see the child who's, for example, is learning to walk. So the walking is a linear direction. But the learning to turn the pedals of a bike, which is circular, and how it gets translated into linear movement itself is not easy, but relatively easy. It just takes a couple of times. The mother and father will say, just do this. And the child says, what? What am I supposed to do? But it can do it. The jump from a three-wheeler to a two-wheeler is much more difficult. And in the beginning, the two-wheeler requires a lot of help. And in the beginning, the two-wheel ability to ride the bike is interrupted very often. Because first of all, the parents you don't have the ability to ride the two-wheel bike. You have to hold the child. He's turning left and right and ready to fall and so on. And even if you learn to ride the two-wheeler, you fall very often. And sometimes you get hurt in the process. You don't want to go back up again. So this is what is called chalati. Chalati means that you go away from your main direction, which is to ride a two-wheeler. But there comes a time when you do not have to consciously learn how to ride the two-wheel bike. So there is a process involved. One is that you cannot even think about, and the parents won't let you to go from a three-wheeler. If you're 3-year-old, you're not allowed to go to a two-wheeler. Then after a while, when you grow up and your sense of balance becomes better, you can now go to a two-wheeler. When you go to a two-wheeler, also requires a lot of help. You can fall down. But then comes a point. And then another thing. There comes a point where the person is primarily focused on learning a two-wheel. He's able to balance. But really, there is nothing else that you can do at that time. There then comes a point where riding on the two-wheeler is your own nature. And you can see this. You can go to some of the people. Yeah, it doesn't happen here because, the bikes here are very different. They're racing bikes and so on. If you go to these functional bikes in India, huge wheels and so on and so forth, they are required for them to go to work. There you will find that the person is able to ride the bike holding things in their hand. They're not even having a handlebar. Once in a while they'll touch the handlebar. They're going straight on their own. It becomes their second nature. This is what Gita is saying. He's saying, Yatra ayam sthitaha na tattvataha chalati. Na tattvataha chalati. And it becomes such a second nature to you that nothing disturbs you from it. You are not, tattvataha chalati is a good one. So tattva chalati means that in reality nothing disturbs you. If there is a disturbance, let's say that you are a jnani, you are a, you've understood, you are a realized person and so on. And you run into some road condition and so on and so forth. And then something happens. It doesn't really take you away from it. I'm telling you, this is what happened. I'm just the example. Just yesterday, I avoided a very serious accident. So what happened was I was going on Page Mill, and there is a road that comes in, Arrestadero. And they have a stop sign. And Page Mill does not have a stop sign. So cars pass by, and these guys have to look back left and right to see, and then they turn left because that's going towards the freeway. So yesterday I was coming out from working out on my gym, and I was driving, trying to prepare for the classes around 2:30 or so, and I was going at about 30-35 miles per hour. What I found was that there was a car that turned left when he shouldn't have, because there was not enough time, but I was aware of that. There was a car behind him, he also went with him, without looking at the left. I had to slam on my brakes, and I honked at him just to let him know that, this was not the right thing. Honestly, if it was not up to I would have really run into him. But that is not something that stayed with me. It stayed with me enough to tell you a story. I went also home and told my son, I said, oh my gosh, because once you run into somebody, it's a big deal. You have to stop, you have to get the cars fixed, the insurance and so on. But it is not something which really disturbs me from who I am and so on. So, not tattvataha chalati is not something where, normally anybody would, but if you don't have a good sense of what you are, then you will say, these things always happen to me. My life is just miserable. Why do these things have to happen to me? I'm not a happy person, this or the other. None of that. And especially sometimes if I'm making a mistake, even there I can even say that, why did I make that mistake? And then be done with it. But if it is not my mistake, other than I letting to know with a honk that this is a stupid thing that you almost made me do, it's over. Not a big deal. My sense of my own peace and so on stays with me. So this is the fourth definition of nirvikalpa. It's called, in fact, you can either make a whole definition out of it, yatra ayam sthitaha na tattvataha chalati, or you can shorten it by saying tattva nishtha. Tattva nishtha. And so what this means is that, in the real life example, supposing a person has learned to ride a bike. Like, this is very interesting. For the first 15 years of my life, all I did was to ride a bike. That's all I did. I don't think I have touched a bike since I was 15 years of age. I haven't. But do you think that I will ever forget? No. Here I don't want to ride a bike, it's too dangerous. I don't need to do that. And I'm not a biker, I just get my exercise another way. Really, for all these years, 50, 60 years, I have not ridden a bike at all. But you know what? Riding a bike has become my second nature. It's not as though I'll start all over again and somebody has to hold me on both sides and then I have to sort of say, well, am I going to fall down? No. I may not be as smooth, but I will know. So the fourth definition of Nirvikalpa Samadhi is making an appreciation of yourself, an appreciation of the Atyantika Sukham, your second nature. And this second nature will never be able to be disturbed by incidences like auto accidents, problems, health problems, nothing. Why? Because you have seen yourself as the very source of, you've gotten a glimpse of the Atma. So this all has, and all of this can be a measuring stick. Sometimes, there are questions from the students, is when will I become, they say all this in the books and so on and so forth, but I don't feel that and so on and so forth. Well, measure yourself. Where are you in the process? You've got to achieve that. If you are disturbed by some things, then you're not there yet. And there are ways of getting there. So all these definitions are, see, remember this? So these definitions are both sadhya as well as sadhanas. And also a measuring stick of whether you are siddha or not. This is how it is. So these definitions become a beautiful measuring sticks. So that's the fourth one. And I think I'll stop at that point with these two verses, 20 and 21. And we will do the rest of this cluster of these verses, 22 and 23, and complete, hopefully, the 7 definitions of Nirvikalpa Samadhi next time. So again, in summary, please remember that in the Vedantic meditation, the Nirvikalpa Samadhi doesn't mean thoughtless state. It means you fulfill all these 7 definitions, or at least most of them. That is what is called Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So with that, I'll close today's class and still leave some questions, answer some questions. Time for questions. Om Asato Ma Satkamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah Hari Om. Yes.
You mentioned Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga.
Yeah.
In that, the definition of Nirvikal Samadhi is when the Gyata Ge and Gyan becomes nothing but just the Ge is all that remains, the identity.
Yeah, so I think that, excuse me, what I had mentioned at one time, which is not my ideas, I'm just following the Shastra and so on, that Patanjali's Yoga Sutras are excellent sadhanas, but their final vision is not true. Don't follow the final vision. They fall short of that. And so, we should also always remember that. You're free to do anything you want to. You can just become a yogi if you want to. But you should understand the limitations of becoming a yogi versus a jnani. And that is exactly what it is. So, instead of commenting on what he says and how it is to be done, I don't even go there. Okay? I follow the Ashtanga Yoga as a sadhana, but when you reach there, then the definition of what the goal is, where are you, what is to be done, and so on, is to be followed by Vedanta, not by. So Patanjali is not considered to be a jnani, he's a yogi.
But isn't the aim the same to...
Aim may be the same, but you don't have you're not, it's a faulty definition of what an aim is, so we don't follow that. That's, I'm just telling you, this is a bold statement but that's what we have to do. Yes?
What's the difference between yogi and jnani?
So jnani is the one, with the yogi is the one which says that it is a thoughtless state only.
Oh, I see.
Whereas when we say it's the beginning of the thoughtless state, and you have to fulfill all these definitions, that's the jnani.
So yogi is the beginning stage.
Yeah,
The midnight.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
And one more thing.
Yeah.
You made gave a small slogan. Yatra
Yatra mano yati.
manoyati.
This is, I think, number, if you have Drikdrishya Viveka, 20-something, 21st, 22nd. Tatra tatra samadhayaha, samadhis. There is samadhis. Is this plural form of samadhi, samadhaya. Yeah. Okay, good. We'll see you next week. Ah, you know how to do that?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, good. Excellent.
Chandra's told me. I should remember. I made a note so I don't walk out. Okay.
So,